live stream also started, sir.
Okay.
Good morning to one and all present in the digital platform. Internal Quality Assurance Cell cordially welcome you all for 7-day faculty program. A smile to start your day, a prayer to bless your way. Let's all rise for the prayer song. Thank you all. In the right light at the right time, everything is extraordinary. Now, we would like to have your attention to take a look at the video.
Video.
Leadership is not about the title or a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. Such a leadership personality is there amidst us. I would like to call Dr. Subramani, Principal SNMP CAS, to deliver welcome and presidential address.
A pleasant morning, everyone. I'm Dr. B. Subramani, Principal of SNMICAS Coimbaote. Extend a warm and hearty welcome to all the members, delegates for the Faculty Development Program. First of all, I would like to thank our management members for their blessings and unconditional support, guidance, and permission to conduct this FDP virtually. My wholehearted gratitude and big thanks to our honorable guest speaker, expert speaker for the day, Dr. B.Vanitha Madam, former Registrar Bharathiar University, Coimbaote. In acknowledging that, I feel utmost honor in welcoming the expert speaker for the day. We thank you, ma'am, for graciously accepting our invitation amidst your busy schedule to address our young faculty on your area of expertise. We welcome you, ma'am, for
Thank
this
you.
nice FDP.
Thank you.
I extend a warm welcome to Dean Madam Dr. P. Manjula Suresh, Director, Krishna Kumar, MBA Director. Also, a heartiest welcome to all the heads of the departments, the faculty members, SNMB. I would like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts put in by the technical team and the organizing committee. I welcome you all. I also welcome the other guest speakers for the 7 days FDP from 24th December 2020 to 1st December 2020. This program is being organized on the theme of adaptive success strategies for NAAC, a quality enhancement program organized by IQAC and FDP team of SNM Vikas. I welcome the members of IQAC and the members of FDP team of SNM Vikas. A warm welcome to all the members and organizers. SNM Vikas is known for innovation and creativity. I would like to share few points about our institution. Our institution established in the year 1989 with 31 years of academic excellence and meaningful service to the society, accredited by NAAC with A grade with 3.17 aggregate in the third cycle. Friends, it is due to the motivation and inspiration from our management to organize such FDPs that is the need of the hour and unique programs in our institution. Life is education and education is life. In the education scenario, teachers, the faculties play an important role. I think it is become imperative to invest in preparing the staff and training the teachers so that the future of the nation becomes secure. Friends, the quality of the nation depends upon the quality of the citizens. The quality of the citizen depends from the quality of the education they get, especially the youth. And so it is very significant and important to enhance quality in education, especially in higher education, by adopting different and modern disciplinary approach to quality enhancement higher education. These kind of FDPs will be very much beneficial to the members enrolled here in this meet. I am sure this program will enhance the level of information knowledge of all the participants. I extend my best wishes for this program. I wish a grand success for this faculty development program. And in my routine, I would like to tell about this program. This program is gratifying to note that the areas of discussion for this FDP covers a wide range of topics and stands promising in transforming every teaching faculty into an eminent academician and facilitator. So I hope with all your participation, enthusiasm and focus on education and learning, our institutions is near at achieving greater excellence in all ways. So this 7 days exclusive adaptive success strategies for NAAC program, the first day with our speaker Dr. B.Vanitha on outcome-based education. The second day, the outcome-based education syllabus of 2021 by Bharathiar University by our professor Dr. N. Ponpandian sir. The third day, teaching, learning, evaluation process and reforms by Dr. N. Rajeshwari of Professor Udamalpet Sri GVG Visalakshi College. And fourth day, attainment of outcomes, Dr. K. Sumadi from PSGR Krishnamal. And fifth day, Professor Dr. R. Muthuchelian, National Education Policies, NEP 2020, Prospectives and Prospects. Interactive and experiential learning approach for cultivating innovation among students by Professor Dr. R. Kannan, NGM College. And finally, the last 7th day, Professor Dr. A. Mail Murugan on the topic Innovations and Challenges in Curricular Design. So all these topics, the varieties which are need of the hour for this young generation for transformation. So I'm sure that this definitely brings a lot of change in the academic area. And finally, I would like to give introduction about our today's speaker. Today's speakers doesn't require any kind of introduction. Those who are associated with Bharathiar University, everybody knows very well about Dr. B.Vanitha Madam. She was former registrar for Bharathiar University, professor under economic department. And when we go through her profile, it will take an hour to complete the entire profile of Madam. I'm just putting it in a nutshell. Madam having 32 years of academic service with her MA, MPhil and PhD academic credentials. PhD research produced 12 numbers and around 57 international journals are adding feathers to her crown. Contribution to administration, register in charge, finance officer, coordinator, dean for so many forums and etc. etc. Confidential assignments, chief examiner, UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, examiner, TNPSC, Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission, member coordinator, NAAC, visited around 27 institutions for accreditation purpose and member expert committee, UGC and 11th plan, UGC NET examinations, life member, member governing body, many organizations like Coimbaote Productivity Council, and adding a lot of honors and awards from various institutions to her today. Paper presentations or numbers are very many in numbers. Internationally and nationally, there are so many presentations are made by our respected speaker. And research papers and books published 27 in numbers. Chapter in edited books, 8 numbers. Research papers published as co-author, 18 numbers. So research academic events conducted in and around, that is 12 in numbers. Conference, seminars, workshop, training participated, 4 in numbers. More than 50 activities taken place, performed in participation and contribution in relevant areas of higher education in and around. And Madam is associated with almost all the affiliated and autonomous institutions in and around, not only the state level, in the entire nation and as well the abroad. So such a wonderful member we have as our first day speaker. We are all very proud to have you, ma'am. The dais is yours. Once again, I welcome all the members and our guest speakers. We are waiting, eagerly waiting for your speech, madam. Welcome, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, very, very clear. It's clear.
Okay, okay. So, first I would like to...
there are 700 members are on the YouTube, madam. They are listening, watching.
Oh,
yes.
Great, great.
Yes.
I would like to thank the principal and his team, as well as the management of SNMV for having arranged such a wonderful occasion or an event, which proves again and again that time and distance don't alter the perception that we have towards reaching the unreached through the technology. So it's I'm grateful for having invited for such an occasion. And a very, very good morning to my dear audience. And thanks, sir, for your very, very elaborate introductory note. இதெல்லாம் நாக்குக்காக நேந்து வெப்சைட்ல போட்டது அதெல்லாம் எடுக்காதீங்க. Simply you can introduce me as a speaker of the day. That is more than sufficient. And there's a small correction. I was not registrar. I was registrar in charge. Right? I also didn't notice when you sent me your... Anyway, as I said, when there was an invitation from the principal, sir, I mean, immediately agreed to talk on outcome-based education because as we all felt that that is the need of the hour, and any institution which is going for accreditation from now onwards will not be accredited, especially for if it's an engineering college, it will never be taken up at all. For arts and science college, even if it's in the nascent stage, it is expected from NAAC that the institution should move towards outcome-based education. So, with that small introduction, let me just give a small kind of a platform setting as why do we need to talk on all on a sudden that outcome-based education, which was not spelt or even felt by generation like us. Friends, you all would agree with me one fact that for us, including Dr. Subramaniam, education and career now came in the same package. We got educated for this particular profession, and we've joined as teacher, and we would retire as teacher. But that's not going to be the case for our students. The demands are so heavy from outside. Those were the days where you take whether the industry or academia or a service sector, whatever it is, it had all the time to train a graduate for the challenges to be met with and to put them, induct them into the service. But now, whether it's a government service or in a private sector or corporate, wherever it is, they want an industry ready, a job ready graduate to be appointed. So, how are we going to make this job ready individuals, and what is the challenge that we need to face, and how to convert this challenge into an opportunity for us to move forward? That is the biggest task that lies before us. And teaching earlier days, that doesn't mean that had no focus. It was enough for those days to give a clarity on the concept, and it was up to the student to uh, take that conceptual clarity into the and convert it into a working knowledge wherever he or she goes and gets a job. But now I do not know whether that conceptual clarity and understanding of basic knowledge and information is perfect among the students and the teachers. And because there is always a difference. Reading English in an economics book and reading economics, understanding economics is different. Most of the time, all of us, including right from the school days, we are only looking at the English in the book and not the economics inside it. So that is where the outcome-based education gives us a, you can call it as a challenge or an opportunity to think little different, so that what is expected from our graduates are well managed even within the classroom. So that is the context where the outcome-based education has been introduced. And of course, I can give the history behind it on a later stage. And before moving on to this, sir, I am just going for a screen sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
I can never speak about education without quoting Swami Vivekananda. According to him, education is like we want that education by which character is formed, strength of the mind is increased, intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's feet. So, what I've been telling you is that are we actually really focusing the student to make him to stand on his feet as per the requirement or the expectation of the stakeholders? So OB is one step towards that direction, where we are not only thinking of building the character and increasing the strength of his mind and intellect, but also making him to stand on his feet. So by doing so, education can be replicated as a manifestation of perfection which is already lying in man. Now, the task that lies before us is that student to be prepared for employment, they have to undergo personal development, they should also be made active participants of democracy. So if you put everything together, the notion of education becomes cultivation of mind. So how are we going to do this through OB is the biggest question now before us. And in that context, OB has been spelled out. Just a definition of OB, if you look at it, it's an educational approach that focuses on graduate attributes or outcomes after the graduate completing an academic program. Friends, I think in 2010, 2010 to 2016, when I was preparing for self-study report for Bharathiar University, I came across this word graduate attribute. Until then, it was never known to me. I do not know about others, but to me, it was not known to me. I was wondering what is this graduate attribute and how it is to be disclosed or to be discussed among the students. That was the day where I really got interest in knowing what exactly do they mean by graduate attribute. And this is simply the outcome that is expected from every graduate who moves out of the educational institution. It can be an engineering college, it can be an arts and science college, it can be anything. Now, graduate attributes and OB is being very strongly implemented at the school level also. So, after graduation, what is that what attributes he is supposed to carry with them so that he becomes job ready, he is able to undergo a personal development and also can become an active participant in democracy. That is the question that we need to. So an approach to OB, it is a decision about curriculum which is driven by the outcomes and that students are expected to display at the end of the course. So once they complete a course, a program, in terms of the degree, there are certain requirements a student is supposed to exhibit. Of course, fundamentally, he should have a professional knowledge. Along with the knowledge, he should also have skills that is should have acquired skills that is needed in the workplace, and the abilities to cope up with the challenges that he is facing with, and that can never be sacrificed in terms of values and his attitude towards lifelong learning. All should get integrated. My dear friends, you may be wondering that this may be new to you if I spell it like that. But this has been pronounced by UNESCO's declaration in terms of International Commission on Education for 21st Century, which states that learning to learn, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be are the four pillars of higher education. So if you related this, learning to know is professional knowledge. Learning to learn itself is an art. Learning to do is something to do with the dexterity of hands and the mind, the skills that you acquire. The ability is to learning to live together with values protected, and the attitude is to have a spirit of lifelong learning. So this has already been spelled out by UNESCO, but OB gives in a different name, that's all. So if you ask me what is OB, it's a desired outcome that are determined first and program as well as curriculum, even the teaching learning methodology and including the support facilities are designed later to meet the outcomes that were already been fixed so that the intended outcomes can be achieved. So it's based on very, very simple, practical, logical notion that every one of us use every day in our life. If you don't spell it as OB is the way in which we actually prepare our day-to-day event. Unless and until you have in your mind what is to be cooked today, you cannot make the ingredients ready for your cooking. So outcome is already fixed. So today I have decided to make biryani. So naturally, yesterday itself I should have prepared in terms of purchases and other things so that biryani can be made today. So that's it. So it's a simple and practical, logical notion. It's based on the approach, means knowing what you want to achieve and then taking steps to do so. So this is the simple way of understanding OBE. And it's an example of carpenter wants to build a table, then he must have a blueprint or a picture of a table in mind before he takes the materials and start assembling the material. Unless it's just like constructing a house. with the help of a blueprint that you already made. The OBE has been defined by William Bills Paddy. This is a beautiful definition: defining, designing, building, focusing, and organizing. You just look at it, the elaborateness with which it is been covered. You have to define. Based on the definition, you have to design. Having designed, you have to build, and having built it, then there should be a focus and organization, which everything is focused on in one thing, that is educational system, on a thing of lasting significance that we ultimately want every learner to demonstrate successfully as a result of their learning experience. So OBA addresses the following key questions. What do you want the students to learn? So first, we should be clear what our students should learn. There must be clarity for the teachers. Why do you want them to learn it? What is the necessity that the student should learn it? How can you best help the students to learn it? Having decided this is what the student should learn, you have to make him understand why he should learn it, and you will have to think, in what way can I help my student to learn what has been decided earlier better? How will you know that they have learned? Having given all these three, of course, it's our duty to look back and see whether whatever is being transacted is done in the right direction. So that can be learned only when you test whether what you want to achieve has been already achieved. So here, as I already said, that the programs to be accredited from 2018 will have to be based on OBE approach. If there is no OBE, there will not be any accreditation. Now, I need to give you a context in which OBE is introduced, especially in the Indian context. Friends, you must have heard about this Washington Accord, which is initiated in the year 1986. It's an accord it's kind of a multilateral agreement among the countries, where the professionals, when they start moving from one territory to the other territory, there's one country to the other country, an agreement to recognize and entertain the credits earned in one country in the other country. So because there is a movement of students for want of higher studies, movement of graduates for want of jobs. Now, what is transacted here in the name of education at an undergraduate level has to be accepted widely by the countries abroad, so that the graduates of any nation, at least this member nation, will have the ease of entering the country, joining for either studies or for jobs. So that is the intention with which Washington Accord was taken place. It is like, even now, even within India, we have such an agreement. We call it as Association of Indian Universities. By becoming member of Indian universities, we agree to honor the degrees offered by the member universities across the country. So it's the same way, the nations agree to recognize and entertain the degrees given to the graduates. So for which you have to have a common platform of understanding, which is being defined in terms of graduate attributes. Once you are able to spell out that this is the attribute that my graduate is going to hold when he completes a degree, and when it is given, there is a transparency in understanding that, and it is easy for countries to recognize our graduates. So that is the reason behind this Washington Accord. It is applicable only to each undergraduate engineering program, and India is also a signatory for Washington Accord. So based on which, all the engineering colleges, that is NBA, National Accreditation Board, has started insisting that the engineering colleges should spell out the outcome-based education in the name of graduate attributes to be attained by the graduates. Now it is being passed on to the arts and science colleges also, because now there is very thin line between engineering and an arts and science graduate. You might be seeing that Industry 4.0, which we were thinking that it is only meant for professional colleges, engineering colleges, has already crept into the arts and science universities and colleges also. So an arts and science graduate is no less than a professional graduate. When we think in terms of the graduate attributes that we would like to accomplish, so we may have a similar platform for to exhibit our talents. So that is the reason why arts and science college, UGC and NAAC insist that even arts and science colleges need to think on those lines. Now I can just simply say that what is the graduate attribute. Of course, it will be later we can have a discussion, but now people can understand that how do we define these attributes and on what basis. Basically, as I already said, it's a knowledge that we acquire, the skills we equip with to deal with the situation, and the attitude towards taking a life and profession, all combined together will make a graduate attribute. So it insists first that there should be some clarity and conceptualize the fundamentals. Knowledge actually speaks about it. Whatever that you study, you have to study with the purpose for which it is being studied. It's not the question of just making, by hearting it and then reproducing it without understanding why it has been taught and in what context it can be related to the real life situation. All these things come together when there is a question of understanding the fundamentals, design and develop solutions for complex problems. So once you are familiar with the concept, it should be possible for you to apply this concept to solve solutions to the problems which may be simple or complex in nature. If you are comfortable with this too, it should be always possible for you to investigate on a complex issue, interpret the data, and synthesize of information to bring solutions which are supposed to be valid. So a graduate is supposed to have the attitudes which are spelled out now here. Okay, there's a small mistake in PPT. Then it should be possible for him to use the tools. It's like modern tools. If it is to be used, first he'll have to select, or sometimes if it is not there, create an appropriate technique or a tool with understanding of the limitations of the tools. That's also one of the qualities that is to be imbibed with the students. Individual and team working. And as I already said, that the attitude of working together is very, very important. Living together, working together. A graduate should be able to function effectively, not only as an individual, but also as a member, or sometimes he may be even leading a team with a diverse diversity in nature in a multidisciplinary setup. So this is also expected. And communication is now very, very important, because what I know is not very important. What I am able to communicate about what I have already learned is very important. So communicate effectively to the team of peers as well as to the society at large with effective reports and presentations to receive clear instructions as well. So communication is two-way. One, you want to tell to the society and the team of peers, and also it should be possible for you to receive any feedback those people are going to give you, for which communication capacity is very important. And applied reasoning is one of the attribute of a graduate. Demonstrate the understanding of social health, safety, legal and cultural issues and consequent responsibilities of any of his activity. He must be clear on that. And so if these are the graduate attributes, now we will just move on to, I think there is a small mistake in the PPT. Okay. How OBE has evolved over the years. Friends, earlier we call it as traditional OBE, where measures of learning outcome was in terms of students' mastery of curriculum. The mastery of curriculum was identified by the credits he could earn or the marks he could get, grades he could secure. So we thought that OBE ends with the ability of the student in mastering the curriculum in terms of earning the required credits and then grades for a particular program. Then when there is a transformation, it evolved into a transitional stage where measures the learning outcome not only in terms of mastery of curriculum but in terms of generic or higher order competencies in terms of critical thinking, problem solving, as well as communication skills. So this is the place probably 80s and 90s where we started giving students in terms of soft skills and in terms of placement training so that they can develop a kind of an out of box thinking so that with the mastery of their knowledge in terms of curriculum, they are able to exercise something more which is expected. And now it has evolved into a third stage, which we can call it as a transformational stage, where we not only measure outcome in terms of a broad category of disciplinary knowledge and skills and generic competencies and values required. Now it actually moved. We've started moving from interdisciplinary to multidisciplinary to even transdisciplinary, where if OB is perfectly practiced, it should be possible for a student to achieve. So this is how the OB has evolved over the years. So with this, now if I move on, hope I'm not too fast for you or people to follow me. If there is anything, you can always interrupt and then get clarification. The entire OB pyramid is it's a pyramid-like thing. It's based on one paradigm, two purposes, three premises, four principles, and five practices. Let me tell you what are these paradigms actually. The pyramid actually means. The first one I said is one paradigm, right? Accomplishing result is more important than providing services. So earlier, I used to say that when I go to college at 9 o'clock and by 3 o'clock, even not even 3, once my class assignment is over, I would say that work for the day is over. Now, actually, work as a teacher never gets over. So accomplishing result is more important than providing service. How do I understand this? I can just quote an example of the friends who have already attended any of the orientation or refresher course conducted by me might be much familiar with this example, but I don't get tired of giving this example because this is where we really understand what really education means. And since there is no one-to-one contact, I may not be able to ask you all questions, but still I can make the attempt of making you to understand what do you really mean by accomplishing the result. See, you all know that there's Madras University. It has a history department. The professor in the history department, on a first day of the research scholars, he had requested the research scholars to come to his department for a personal meeting. And he was just sitting in his table, on the table, and in front of him were the students. At the back of the professor was a big world map was hanging. And after greeting the students, he just requested the students to identify some places in the map. For example, you would have asked Delhi, and then you would have asked Niagara, Canada, some places. No, these students started took a pencil and then started putting their hands in the map and started identifying. And after asking for a dozen of places to be identified by the students, then he said the Bay of Bengal. The students, they were actually tired of looking at the map for identifying these places. And once the Bay of Bengal was asked, there was a big relief among them, and they just கையை கொண்டு போய் 5 வரலையும் பச்சைன்னு மேப்ல வச்சுட்டு Bay of Bengal அத்தனை பேரும் சத்தம் போட்டாங்க. The gentleman didn't even look back and see what they have done. He simply said that you're wrong. பசங்களுக்கு எதுவுமே புரியல. குட்டி குட்டியான இடங்கள் எல்லாம் இவ்வளவு அழகா நாங்க பார்க்காத மாதிரி விட்டுட்டாரு. ஆனா பே ஆஃப் பெங்கால் மேப்ல பாதி இடத்துல இருக்கு. when we are right in our identification, why this man is telling that it's wrong. So much of puzzle in their face. அட்லீஸ்ட் நமக்காவது தெரியுமா ஏன் இந்த பே ஆஃப் பெங்கால் மேப்ல கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது தப்பு? ஆக்சுவலா பே ஆஃப் பெங்கால் மெட்ராஸ் யூனிவர்சிட்டி ஜன்னலுக்கு வெளியில இருக்கு. as simple as that. accomplishing result அப்படிங்கிறது என்னன்னா, சொல்லி கொடுக்கிற விஷயங்களை புத்தகத்தில் தேடாதே வெளியில தேடுங்க. புத்தியை புத்தகத்தில் தேடாதே வெளியில தேடுங்க. இதுதான் the first paradigm. making the student to have a learning experience from outside and not within the classroom and within the books. That's the first paradigm based on which the OBE is built upon. The purposes based on which OBE is conceived, as I said, there are two. Ensuring that all students are equipped with knowledge, competencies, and qualities needed to be successful after they exit the educational system. So first that we need to ensure that students are equipped with everything that is needed. Structuring and operating the system so that the outcomes can be achieved and maximized for all students. Now, what a small line that has to be read between these sentences is that OBE is meant for everyone, not to leave somebody as a slow learner or a below average person, but we try to maximize the outcome for all the students for which we need to equip ourselves. The teaching learning methodology we are going to adopt should suit everybody in the class, so that end of the day you achieve the result not less than 100%, not anything less than 100%. So that's the two purpose based on which OBE is being thought of. The premises based on which OBE is developed is, first, all students can learn and succeed, but not on the same day in the same way. That we all accept. For some students, it's enough you just give a clue, you'll be able to pick up. For some, you need to give one or two examples and explain further. There could be some handful of students who may need even an outside classroom assistance so that they can equip themselves with what is really needed. So all students can learn and succeed. That we'll have to first believe. But we have to also believe that it's not on the same day in the same way. Successful learning promotes even more successful learning. Once you start giving the taste of success to the students, they will promote themselves for much more successful learning. So first job of a teacher is to introduce a student with that kind of a taste of learning so that he becomes much more successful in future. Mistakes are steps along the way to develop, internalize, and demonstrate high level of performance capabilities. So friends, OBE ஒரு டிஃபைன்டு ரோல் எதுவுமே கிடையாது. இட்ஸ் engineering colleges தான் கூவி வித்துட்டு இருக்காங்க. Arts and science colleges are still in the nascent stage, so we can develop our own. If you commit mistake also, doesn't matter. The mistakes are again learning experience for us to know what to do and what not to do, so that while developing a pathway, we are able to internalize of performance capabilities and these things. ஒன்னா யோசிச்சு அந்தந்த இடங்கள்ல நிரப்பிட்டே வரலாம். நிரப்பி முடிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் திரும்பி பார்த்தா ஏதோ ஒண்ணு தப்பா ஃபிட் ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னா doesn't matter. We can still replace it with something better there. ஐன்ஸ்டீனை கேட்டாங்களாம், 999 times நீங்க வந்து you have failed in your invention. அழகா அவர் திருப்பி பொறுமையா பதில் சொன்னார். Who said that I failed? I still learned what not to do. அவ்வளவுதான். அதேதான் இங்கேயும். மிஸ்டேக் இருந்தாலும் ஒன்றும் தப்பு இல்லை. திருப்பியும் அதை கரெக்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கு you have room and time for it. And the principles are 4. என்னன்னா, 1, you should have clarity of focus. So that's the reason where we are keeping on telling that please decide what your students want to take along with them as a graduates. So when you decide on that, please have clarity on the focus that you would like to achieve, and think of the expanded opportunity that OBE is going to give. So OBE actually makes you to think out of box and gives not only to the students, it's for teachers. It is with OBE you can all think in terms of multidisciplinary research and transdisciplinary research. And there is now the departments need not have to be put in watertight compartments. And it is the principle is to have high expectation. Are these graduates are meant only for some jobs which can be done by anyone? No, they are meant for jobs which are even not thought of. So அந்த மாதிரியான expectations. In fact, இன்னைக்கு teaching community இருக்கிற பெரிய challenge என்ன அப்படின்னா, we are entrusted with the responsibility of preparing students for the jobs which are not even come to the existence. AI சொல்றாங்க, ஏதேதோ சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இந்த 4th industrial revolution and 5th industrial revolutionல we call it as human beings and machines will dance together அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. Blockchain, AI and human can create magic அப்படிங்கிறோம். அதெல்லாம் என்ன மேஜிக் என்னென்னலாம் நமக்கு தெரியாது. ஆனா expectations are very high and we'll have to fulfill that. And based on all these three, you have to design down your curriculum, your teaching learning methodology and your evaluation methods so that you are able to clearly attain that the outcome that you intend to attain. So the practice of OBE actually has 5 Ds. One, having defined your outcome, and based on the outcome you have to design your curriculum, and based on the curriculum you have to deliver the instructions. நாங்களா அந்த காலத்துல சொல்லுவோம், நாங்க போர்ஷன்ஸ் கவர் பண்ணிட்டோம். OBE is actually warning the teachers to say that syllabus is not to be covered. Teacher as a facilitator has to uncover the syllabus and introduce the nuances of the syllabus to the student, and it is up to the student to take it further and further level. அப்போ ஒரு கட்டத்துல என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா, டீச்சரும் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டும் ரெண்டு பேருமே co-learner ஆயிடுவோம். We will learn together. There are occasions where we have learned together. So இதுதான் the practice. And இதை மூடியும் நாம faithfully பண்ணிட்டோம்னா, we should also learn to document the results, because any effort needs to be reviewed, and the results are one way by which it can be reviewed. And once the results are reviewed, you are able to say whether you have achieved. If you have achieved, then you have to determine the advancement. If you have failed to achieve the outcome, and then you will have to think in terms of either designing the curriculum or delivering the instruction in such a way that what is really expected can be achieved. So these are the 5 practices OBE is expected to, the teacher is expected to have when practicing. Now, this is already we've seen probably. Learners are very passive in the traditional model. Teacher is the ultimate. Whatever comes from teacher is the only means by which the student can learn, and he is a very passive listener. Transformational OBE model enna, we call it as content-based learning in the traditional model. OBE model, we call it as transformational, where learners are very active. We are making him to be more active. As I already said, that in that context, we both can learn together. The traditional model is totally exam driven. Pass பண்ணனும் அவ்வளவுதான். மார்க் இவ்வளவு எடுக்கணும். First class அதுக்கு மேல 80%, 90% placementல very exam driven. Now it's an ongoing
Live streaming is on.
Okay, it's an ongoing process. It doesn't stop anywhere. And rote learning getting replaced with an introduction of critical thinking, reasoning, reflection, everything gets encouraged in OBE. And syllabus is divided into subject. இப்போ the entire content is integrated and connected to real life situations. So நம்ம இங்க டிவிஷனே கிடையாது, எல்லாம் அதனால தான் மாடுலர் கரிக்குலம் எல்லாம் சொல்லுவோம். ஒன்ன தொட்டு ஒரு பேப்பரும் எதுக்காக கொடுக்கிறோம், because ultimately we want to achieve the end result is already been fixed. So content is integrated and connected, and that connection is to make people to understand the real life situation. And learning is textbook bound and teacher centric in the traditional model. Learning is learner centered and application oriented, where teacher, as I already said, is only a facilitator. Teacher sees the syllabus as a rigid and non-negotiable. இன்னைக்கு OBE-ல, especially autonomous setup-ல, you can always take ownership for what you are preparing. Learning programs are seen as guides that allow teachers to be innovative and creative in designing as well as designing the programs. So here, நெகோசியேஷன் அப்படிங்கிறதே வந்து டீச்சர்ஸ் ரோல் தான். இது எனக்கு வேணும், இது வேண்டாம், இது ஓவர்லாப்பிங், இது இப்படி இருந்தால் சப்போர்ட் ஆகும், இந்த சப்ஜெக்டை இந்த ஒரு இன்டர்டிசிப்ளினரி சப்ஜெக்டோட நான் சேர்த்து படிச்சா இன்னும் நல்லா இருக்கும். இது எல்லாம் நம்ம சாய்ஸ் பேஸ்ட் கிரெடிட் சிஸ்டம் அப்படின்னு எல்லாம் சொல்றோம். ஆக்சுவலா சாய்ஸ் பேஸ்ட் கிரெடிட் சிஸ்டத்துல எப்படி உண்மையில கொண்டு வரணும், இல்ல ஒரு எலெக்டிவ் அப்படிங்கறதெல்லாம் ஆக்சுவலா எப்படி பார்க்கணும் அப்படின்னா, ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் பாட்னில ஒரு பேப்பர் கொடுத்தா பயோடெக்னாலஜி, பிளான் பயோடெக்னாலஜில இருந்து ஒரு மாடியூல் ஒரு டீச்சர் இங்க வந்து எடுக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கணும். கெமிஸ்ட்ரியில இருந்து ஒரு ப்ரொஃபசர் ஒரு மாடியூல் அதுல எடுக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கணும். ஸோ இட் இஸ் ஹைலி நெகோஷியபிள் அண்ட் இட் இஸ் அப் டு தி இமேஜினேஷன் ஆஃப் த டீச்சர் டு இன்னோவேட் in terms of creation, in terms of teaching learning methodology, in terms of adapting the help of the others. Teachers are responsible for learning and motivation depends on the personality of the teacher under the traditional model. Inga when the learners take responsibility for learning and are motivated by the feedback and affirmative actions given by the teachers. இப்ப என்னன்னா, இதுதான் உனக்கு விதிக்கப்பட்டது, இதுதான் உங்ககிட்ட நான் அப்படின்னு சொல்றதை தாண்டி this is what you are expected to do அப்படின்னு சொல்லும் போது we have already shown him the direction in which he has to travel. So naturally here learners take more responsibility in learning. So our role as a teacher is to motivate the students and give timely feedback and give the feedback which helps them to promote themselves further and further. ஸோ ஓபி இதெல்லாம் இது நம்ம பேசின விஷயங்கள் தான். ட்ரெடிஷ்னல் எஜுகேஷன் ப்ராசஸ் ஃபோக்கஸஸ் ஒன்லி இன்புட் அண்ட் ப்ராசஸ். என்னன்னா டீச்சிங் ஸ்டாஃப், கரிக்குலம், லேபு, அதர் ரிசோர்சஸ் இதெல்லாம் இன்புட்டு. ப்ராசஸ் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து வெறும் டீச்சிங் அண்ட் லேர்னிங் தான். தென் தி அவுட்புட் இஸ் தி கிராஜுவேஷன் ஆஃப் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் அட் த டைம், ஆஃப்டர் 3 years or 4 years of the completion of the course. இங்கெல்லாம் அசஸ்மெண்ட் மெயின்லி வயா எக்ஸாம்ஸ், டெஸ்ட், அசைன்மெண்ட்ஸ், இவ்வளோதான். This is the way the traditional model was operating, whereas now OBE model இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் is more focused, shifts from measuring input and process to include measuring the output. The IQAC-ல ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு இன்புட், அவுட்புட், ப்ராசஸ், அவுட்கம்ங்கிறதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஃபெமிலியரா இருக்கும். இன்புட் இஸ் the materials, the services and the facilities that we have with us in transacting. Process is the method that is adopted. Outcome and output ஒன்னா போட்டிருக்காங்க. Actually they are different. Outcome வந்து graduation, output. Outcome அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து how this graduates can fulfill the stakeholder satisfaction becomes the outcome. So இங்க teaching staff, curriculum, labs and other resources get aligned. The process என்னென்னலாம் வரும்னா assessment by exam, test and assessment, assignments, assessment of teaching staff, lecture materials and flow results. Students' capabilities are also being assessed, and more thinking projects are given for them to learn. Then feedback from the industry supports us to design and redesign the curriculum so that we are able to satisfy the needs of the stakeholders. So என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா, the entire exercise becomes more and more continuity. There's a continuity and it becomes a kind of, என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, ஒரு it gives an excitement to the teachers that இது இல்ல நம்மளோட டெஸ்டினேஷன், இன்னும் like a kaizen, you raise your own bar so that quality has no destination மாதிரி இதுவும் நாம வந்து வளர்த்துட்டே போகலாம். So long term and short term goals, of course short term goals is just graduation. Okay, அவங்களுக்கு வந்து 3 வருஷம் முடிஞ்ச உடனே டிகிரியோட வெளியில போறது. But the long term goals are very, very different. The graduates that we produce are able to satisfy all the stakeholders. Stakeholder எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா employers, industry advisors, academic staff, public and parents, students, alumni. These are all our biggest stakeholders and we are able to satisfy their needs through our educational process. So that learning outcomes, curriculum coherence, program outcome, curriculum mind map, and assessment tools are to be properly integrated in designing an outcome-based education. Only then, as I said, this can happen. So what the student should be able to do is the first step. How to make the student achieve the outcome is done through the curriculum, and how to measure what the student has achieved is in terms of teaching, learning, and assessment mechanism. So இப்போ நமக்கு OBA எப்படி எழுதணும்? I'm sorry, the outcome-ஐயும் objective-ஐயும் எப்படி நாம எழுதணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு the first starting step is you will have to understand the vision and mission of the institution. Thanks to NAAC, of course, ISO வந்தது உடனே நாம வந்து விஷனும் பேச ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டோம். அதுக்கு முன்னால vision and mission was not there for educational institutions. Now, every educational institution need to have a vision and a mission. The vision-ஐயும் mission-ஐயும் புரியறதுக்கான simple statements என்னன்னா, vision is something which is to be achieved in the long run. Mission is the route way by which you are able to accomplish it. In the missions can change over a period of time, and a vision remains the same. It's a picture of the future to create and described in present tense. It shows where we want to go. What we will be like when we get there is statement of vision. Mission, of course, as I already said, defines what an institution is and why the institution exists and the reason for being there and what we are here to do together so that what is being conceived as vision can be achieved. இப்போ இது institution-ஓட vision and mission-ஆ இருந்தால் the departments are also expected to have a vision and mission which comes in line with the vision and mission of the institution. It's correlated with both of the institution. It's more focused on the theme of the department, and this can be created based on an analysis. We call it a SWOT. When you know what is your strength, when you also know what is your weakness, and think of the opportunities that lies before you, and also have in your mind the challenges that you normally the SWOT appadimo. I don't call anything as a threat. The threat can always be converted into a challenge if you look at the proper perspective. So in the nalu namakku irundal, the vision and mission of the department in line with their institution can always be prepared. So ipo we have outcomes, objectives ella. Friends, I just want you to have a clarity in the O அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து sometimes it is not properly understood. We just call everything as objective. Program educational objective, but when it comes to program, it is program outcome. The objective அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து we expect them to have expected what we expect from the student to in terms of their achievements as graduates in their career, and what the graduates are expected to perform during the first few years after their graduation. இதை நம்ம objective தெளிவா சொல்லிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா it answers some questions. ஒன்று, why does my program exist in the first place? இது எனக்கு நான் கேட்கிற கேள்வி தவிர பையனுக்கும் புரிய வைக்கும். இது ஏன் நீ படிக்கணும்னு சொல்றது மாதிரி தான். Why my program exists in the first place? Then what are the areas where, having completed my program, the graduates can find their job prospects? எங்கெல்லாம் career opportunities இருக்கு இதை படிச்சால் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுங்க. Quest for excellence சொல்லுங்க. மூணாவது, how am I going to prepare them to take higher and higher studies? So இப்போ job seeker இருந்தா அதுக்கு என்ன கொடுக்கும்? Job provider இல்ல higher learner. இந்த மூணும் அந்த graduate, இந்த மூணையும் கொடுக்கிறது தான் educational objective. So if that objective is properly spelled at the department level, then we can move on to the program outcomes. Program outcomes are desirable graduate attributes at the time of graduation. It can be an UG program or it can be PG program. Friends, I need to share my experience in preparing the documents for NAAC. Way back before 15 years, when I start preparing the SSR for the college I belong to, எனக்கு எப்படி சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா, ப்ரோக்ராம் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து BA is a program, MA is a program, MCOM is a program, BSc is a program. அப்போ கோர்ஸ்ங்கிறது என்னன்னா, BA economics is a course. But over a period, நான் யூனிவர்சிட்டிக்கு வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் this has been redefined. ப்ரோக்ராம் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து டிகிரியும், கோர்ஸ்ங்கிறது வந்து சப்ஜெக்ட்ங்கிற மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. So I don't want to confuse you. You can use your own understanding in line with the understanding of the management and the college to define these programs and courses. Right? Now, for the understanding, we call a program as a undergraduate program or a postgraduate program. A graduate entering into a college for taking either undergraduate or a postgraduate program, what attributes are we going to inculcate in him so that at the time of graduation he'll have. Now, idukana clue erkanave kuduthiten, the graduate attributes can be taught on those lines. Fundamental strength in the fundamental knowledge, communication capacity, team building, idella சேர்ந்து தான் graduate attributes. So program specific outcome அப்படின்னா, if I call BSc, see here objective கிடையாது, this is outcome. A program specific outcome is specific to the program offered. Say for example, now BA ஒரு programல BA economics is a specific. BSc அப்படின்னு அங்கே சொல்லியிருந்தேன்னா, BSc zoology is specific, a program specific outcome. And if I could define that, then comes the course outcome. So இது மூணும் சரியா இருந்தா, see, எனக்கு educational objective should fall in line with the vision and mission, and the program outcome should fall in line with the program educational objective. The program specific outcome should also fall in line with the program outcome, and so also the course outcomes. So I cannot ஒரு கோர்ஸை நான் உள்ள இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு காரணம் வேணும், அது அங்கிருந்து எடுக்கிறதுக்கும் ஒரு காரணம் வேணும். அதனால தான் NAAC திருப்பி கேட்குறாங்க, if you have revised your syllabi, what is the basis or rationality for a revision? In the outcome, if the course if allows the outcome to be attained, you continue with it. If it doesn't, any change is required, overlapping irukku, something is left out, you include an index so that the course is designed in such a way that the outcomes will spell out the outcome that you really want to achieve through your program specific outcomes and the program outcomes. The process of PEO, how do we prepare a PEO? As I already said, first you have to have the institution vision and mission in mind. It should always fall in line with your department. The department vision and mission should always fall in line with the vision and mission of the institution. If these two are clear, யாரெல்லாம் உட்காருவாங்க? The program coordinator, obviously it can be the head of the department, or you can have somebody as also a coordinator. Collect the views from the stakeholders. So நீங்க PEO spell out பண்ணும்போதே, we are expected to take the ideas from the stakeholders that the graduate of our program, what they are supposed to have, what they are supposed to achieve. So summarize the feedback and place them in the appropriate body, this board of studies and advisory board, so that on a collective basis you can finalize the PEOs. இது ரொம்ப லென்த்தியான ப்ராசஸா இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும் பார்க்கறதுக்கு, பட் ஒன்ஸ் யூ ஸ்டார்ட் டூயிங் இட், இது ஒண்ணுமே it may need 2 or 3 iterations before it gets finalized, but it is actually, I'm telling you, a very very exciting exercise, provided you keep your mind open for such an exercise. அதாவது செய்து முடிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் அந்த எக்ஸைட்மெண்ட் எவ்வளவு பெரிய விஷயம் நம்ம சாதிச்சிருக்கோம் அப்படின்னு தெரியும். until then you may find it difficult to do it. ஏன்னா இதெல்லாம் நமக்கு பழக்கப்படாததுனால this may sound Greek and Latin, but once you understand the meaning of each and every sentence that is given in its true letter and spirit, then it should be an exciting experience for teachers. இதை எப்படி கனெக்ட் பண்ணலாம், இதை எப்படி இதோட கனெக்ட் பண்ணலாம், இப்படி கனெக்ட் பண்ணா வருமா, இல்ல இதுக்கு எப்படி, இது வந்து ஒரு நகாசு வேலை பண்ணி நகையை அழகுபடுத்துற மாதிரி தான். பட் it needs lot of patience. நமக்கு அந்த எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் இமீடியட்டா சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை ஆகாது. ஆனா ஒவ்வொரு தடவையும் மறுக்கப்பட்ட வாய்ப்புகள் எல்லாமே நமக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்ட இன்னொரு வாய்ப்பா நினைச்சோம் அப்படின்னு என்னன்னா பிஇஓஸ் டிஃபைன் பண்றது ரொம்ப பெரிய கஷ்டம் இல்லை. பட் இட் நீட்ஸ் ஒரு மேபி 2 or 3 iterations is definitely required to finalize your PEOs. Okay, education objectives இது நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பேசிட்டோம். Okay, the factors to be considered எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா it should be consistent with the mission and mission, all stakeholders. இது நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பேசினதான். But friends, please have it in mind, PO should be always manageable. அவங்க வச்சிருக்காங்க இவங்க வச்சிருக்காங்கன்னு நிறைய கொண்டு வராதீங்க. எப்படி ஒரு காலேஜுக்கு அட்டானமி கொடுக்கும்போது the scope and responsibility is given to them to understand their strength, understand their opportunities and develop on their own so that they can ஒவ்வொரு நாளுமே ஒரு லேர்னிங் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸா கொண்டு வந்துதான் ஒரு ஸ்டேஜ்க்கு கொண்டு வர முடியும். அட்டானமி வந்த உடனே எல்லாரும் எல்லாத்தையும் சாதிச்சிட மாட்டோம். வாங்குறதே எதுக்குன்னா எனக்கு என்ன இருக்கு, என்னால எதை முடியும், என் பையனுக்கு நான் எதை கொடுக்கலாம், எதை கொடுக்கறதுக்கு நான் என்னை எப்படி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணலாம், இது எல்லாம் சேர்ந்துதான் ஒரு கட்டம் வரும்போதுதான் இந்த அட்டானமியோட ஃபுல் அந்த கெப்பாசிட்டியை ரியலைஸ் பண்ணுவோம். அதே மாதிரிதான் நீங்க PO போடுங்க, மேனேஜ் பண்ண முடியுதான்னு பாருங்க, இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் சேர்த்தலாம் கொண்டு வரலாம். So one should have that open mind for it based on the needs of the stakeholders. It should be specific to the program and it should not be too broad and it should not be too narrow also, similar to the program outcomes, right? So a PO of an academic program may read like the statement of areas or fields in which a graduate can find employment and preparedness of graduates to take up higher studies, as I have already discussed. There should be enough evidence and documentation to show the achievement of POs as set by the institution with the help of assessment and evaluation process that have been developed. Also show that this continuous process leads to refinement and improvement. That's what I already said. ஒரு ஃபைனல் ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இது வந்து இட்ஸ் an ongoing process, like quality as a destination இல்ல மாதிரி, இட்ஸ் a travel. அதே மாதிரி தான் நின்று உட்காந்து ஆலோசிச்சு ஒன்னா இன்க்ளூட் பண்ணலாம். தென் அடுத்தது வந்து how are we to define the POs, program outcome. திருப்பி அதே தான் வரும், இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷனல் விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷன். இப்போ டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் விஷன் அண்ட் மிஷன் எல்லாம் சேர்ந்துரும். ப்ரோக்ராம் எஜுகேஷனல் அப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸையும் சேர்த்து உள்ள கொண்டு வந்துடுறோம். Now the coordinator has to decide program outcome based on the feedback from alumni, industry, எல்லா stakeholders உள்ள வந்துடலாம். NBA இல்ல நமக்கு UGC, NAAC என்ன ரெகுலேட்டரி பாடிஸ் அவங்களோட ரிக்குவயர்மெண்ட்ஸையும் உள்ள கொண்டு வந்துட்டு then we can define by taking the in consensus with ideas of everybody, summarize, review the collected views and finalize the POs, then place it before the appropriate body. The appropriate body is nothing, it's Board of Studies, and of course in the university it is also Standing Committee on Academic Affairs. If it is an autonomous college, it is an academic council. Then it becomes a blueprint getting prepared, becomes obviously your program outcome. They are narrow statements that describe what students are expected to know and able to do by the time of graduation. These relate to the skills, knowledge and behaviors that a student has to acquire in their study. இது நம்ம நிறைய பேசிட்டோம், நாலேஜ்னா என்ன, ஸ்கில்னா என்ன, ஆட்டிடியூட் என்ன. Then comes the course outcome. The course outcomes are statements that describe what students are expected to know, attitudes they are expected to hold, and what they are able to do as a result of taking this course. நார்மலா ஒரு டீச்சர் கிளாஸுக்கு போனா அஃப்கோர்ஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர்ஸ்க்கு இண்டக்ஷன் ப்ரோக்ராம் இதெல்லாம் நாங்க படிக்கிற காலத்துல அப்படின்லாம் ஒண்ணு இருந்ததே இல்லை. இப்ப நிறைய இந்த மாதிரியான இன்னோவேட்டிவ் வேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் பாக்குறோம். இண்டக்ஷன் ப்ரோக்ராம் அப்படிங்கிறோம், பிரிட்ஜ் கோர்ஸ் அப்படிங்கிறோம். இதெல்லாம் எதுக்கு அப்படின்னு என்னன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் யூ ஹேவ் டு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் தி கோர்ஸ். ஈவன் கோர்ஸ் கூட இல்லை, ப்ரோக்ராமை நீங்க இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணணும் ஸ்டூடெண்ட். நாளை எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் டீச்சர், when you go to class, when you ask the students how many of you have chosen economics out of chance-ஆ இல்ல choice-ஆ அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா 95% of the students will say this is not our choice. நாங்க பிகாம் போகணும்னு நினைச்சோம், நாங்க அதை பண்ணணும்னு நினைச்சோம், ஆனா எங்க மார்க்குக்கு எங்கேயும் இடம் கிடைக்கல, அதனால எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் வந்தேன்னு தான் சொல்லுவோம். இதே ஆட்டிடியூடோட அந்த பையனை நான் 3 வருஷமும் கிளாஸ்க்குள்ள வச்சுட்டு இருந்தா, will it be possible for me to achieve what I intend to achieve? Now I have to tell them the induction program அப்படின்னு நாங்க அதெல்லாம் பேர் வைக்கல, bridge courseன்னு பேர் வைக்கல, but still as teachers we were doing at least minimum 4-5 days, and the first week of his entry to the college, we don't immediately teach microeconomics, we don't teach any subject or any elective papers, but we have to make him feel that this is the course which can give him unimaginable positions. இதை எப்படி நீங்க அந்த பையனுக்கு கொண்டு வருவீங்க? இதான் ப்ரோக்ராம் அவுட்கம். கோர்ஸ் அவுட்கம்லயும் இது இருக்கு நமக்கு. I have to tell him that with all due regards for all other subjects, chemistry, physics இதெல்லாம் படிச்சீங்கன்னா தேடி போய் அதை யூஸ் பண்ணணும். எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் படிச்சீங்கன்னா இட்ஸ் லைக் யுவர் ஹார்ட் பீட், இட் நெவர் சேஸ் தட் இட் இஸ் தேர். என்னைக்கு அது நிக்குதா அப்பதான் உனக்கு அது ஹார்ட் இருக்குதுன்னு தெரியும். இட்ஸ் ஜஸ்ட் how to make your ends and means to meet each other so that you can have a peaceful life. இது தவிர ஒரு நம்மளோட இணைஞ்சது நமக்கு தேவைப்படுற வேற எந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் மிச்சத்தை நீங்க தேடி எடுக்கணும். இது உன்னோடவே இருக்கு. இதை அவனுக்கு புரிய வைக்கிறதுக்கும் இந்த புரிதல் வந்துருச்சுன்னா மைக்ரோ எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் எப்படி இதுக்கு கான்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணும், மேக்ரோ எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் எப்படி கான்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணும், இதையெல்லாம் புரிய வைக்கிறதுக்கு I need at least a week time to introduce the course, and even to course போகும்போது கூட ஒரு 3 நாள் அதெல்லாம் பேசினதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் I touch the syllabus to make him understand why should he study microeconomics, what is the need for him to study the economy at a macro perspective. இதெல்லாம் தான் கோர்ஸ் அவுட்கம்ல வருது. Assessment not only measures progress and achievement of the learners, but also the effectiveness of teaching materials and methods used for transaction. So இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் அசஸ்மெண்ட்ங்கிறத வந்து ஸ்டூடெண்ட் அசஸ்மெண்டா தான் நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம். And NAAC now insists that even teachers are to be assessed in terms of the teaching methodology they have used, the materials they have handled in the class to do the transaction, everything, and the effectiveness with which all these things are presented to the students are to be assessed. So course outcome நீங்க பேசும்போது இந்த மெத்தடை நான் ஃபாலோ பண்ணியிருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு இது இஃபெக்டிவா இருக்கா அப்படிங்கிறதையும் நீங்க ஃபீட்பேக் எடுத்தா தான் யூ ஆர் ஏபிள் டு convince that yes, the outcome that is already framed I am able to attain. Hence assessment should be viewed as a component of curriculum with a twin purpose of effective delivery and a further improvement in teaching learning process. பசங்க கிட்ட நீங்க ஓப்பனா இதை கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா they will come out with, of course எல்லாரும் 100% ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸும் பேசுவாங்கன்னு நான் சொல்ல முடியாது. Even in a class of 50, if 1 or 2 could give some good feedback, that is worth taking. I'll give you a small example. அங்க மைக்ரோ எக்கனாமிக்ஸ்ல வந்து மார்க்கெட் அப்படின்னு ஒன்னு டீச் பண்ணுவோம். மார்க்கெட் அப்படிங்கிற பேசும்போது பர்ஃபெக்ட் காம்படிட்டிவ் மார்க்கெட், hope I can take this as a little more time in deviating so that I can make my participants to achieve. It's a perfect competitive market is a hypothetical market where you have large number of buyers, large number of sellers, uniform price. இதெல்லாம் அதோட கேரக்டரிஸ்டிக்ஸ் இல்லைன்னா ஃபீச்சர்ஸ். சொல்லும் போதே மனசுக்குள்ள என்ன தோணும் அப்படின்னு இது மாதிரி எங்க ஒரு மார்க்கெட் இருக்கு, எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரே விலை, லார்ஜ் நம்பர் ஆஃப் பையர்ஸ், சப்ளை அண்ட் டிமாண்ட் ஒன்லி மேக்ஸ் த பிரைஸ், நோ ப்ராடக்ட் டிஃபரன்சியேஷன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இது ஒரு ஹைபோதெட்டிக்கல் மார்க்கெட்பா, ஒரு மாதிரியான அசம்ஷன்ல தான் நம்ம வந்து தியரியை படிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்லி முடிச்சுட்டு ஒரு 2 நாள் கழிச்சு ஒரு பையன் வர்றான். அண்ட் யூ ஷுட் ஹவ் சீன் த வே இன் விச் ஹி கேம் டு த கிளாஸ். அப்படி புக்கு தூக்கிட்டு ஸ்டைலா டேபிள் மேல போட்டு சொல்றேன், மேம் நீங்க சொன்ன அந்த ஹைபோதெட்டிக்கல் மார்க்கெட்டுங்கிறது சரியில்லை, ஐ ஹவ் ஃபவுண்ட் அ பர்ஃபெக்ட் காம்படிட்டிவ் மார்க்கெட் இன் ரியல் லைஃப். ஐ வாஸ் லிட்டில் ஷாக்ட் பிகாஸ் நான் இப்படிதான் நான் சொல்லி கொடுத்துட்டு இருக்கிறேன் இவ்வளவு வருஷமா. இது நான் சொல்றது 15 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாள். அது எதுப்பா அந்த மாதிரியான மார்க்கெட்டை நீங்க பார்த்தேன் அப்படின்னா, சார் நம்ம உழவர் சந்தை தான் இந்த பர்ஃபெக்ட் காம்படிட்டிவ் மார்க்கெட். எப்படி? லார்ஜ் நம்பர் ஆஃப் பையர்ஸ், லார்ஜ் நம்பர் ஆஃப் செல்லர்ஸ், வி அக்ரி. ஃபார்மர்ஸ் அப்படி நேரா கொண்டு வர்றாங்க, நிறைய பேர் அங்கதான் போய் வாங்குறோம். தேர் இஸ் நோ ப்ராடக்ட் டிஃபரன்சியேஷன். அங்க வந்து கத்திரிக்காய் வந்து ராமன் தோட்டத்துல விளைஞ்சது, வெண்டைக்காய் வந்து குப்பசாமி தோட்டத்துல விளைஞ்சதுங்கிற டிஃபரன்சியேஷன் எல்லாம் கிடையாது. அது கத்திரிக்காய், முள்ளங்கி அப்படின்னா அவ்வளவுதான். யூனிஃபார்ம் பிரைஸ், எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரே பிரைஸ் போர்ட்ல எழுதி போடுறாங்க. And who makes the price? There's nobody price maker அப்படியெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் கிடையாது. தி சப்ளை அண்ட் த டிமாண்ட். அன்னைக்கு எவ்வளவு வரத்து, அன்னைக்கு என்ன மாதிரி டிமாண்ட் இருக்கு, இதுதான் பிரைஸ் டிசைட் பண்ணுது. யூனிஃபார்ம் பிரைஸ் ஒத்துக்கிறோமா? நோ டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட் காஸ்ட். Those were the days where the farmers can bring the vegetables from their farms at free of cost through public transport. Look, the kind of feedback that a student has given me has made me to think that I can never utter a word that perfect competitive market is a hypothetical market anymore. This is the outcome that you really want to achieve once you make the student to understand what he has to do by studying a course, and your teaching learning methodology will have to adopt to that. So இப்போ இதெல்லாம் பேசிட்டுமே, when these are all in, are they in watertight compartments or should they be combined? This is the biggest question that comes to us. மேடம் ஒவ்வொன்றா சொன்னீங்களே, இதை எப்படி நான் relate பண்ணிக்கிறது? See, it starts with vision, right? And that vision gets converted into operational activity through our mission. The vision and mission, of course, of the institution and the department allows us to think of program educational objectives. You can specify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your program educational objectives are correlated. So the title is correlation between all these things are correlated to PEO, can be correlated to PO, that's program outcome of 1 or 2 or 3. இதெல்லாம் நாம தான் வந்து இமேஜினேட்டிவா ஒன்னொன்னுத்துக்கும் ரிலேட் பண்ணணும். அப்படியே எல்லாம் வந்து ரைட் ராயலா உட்காராது. we'll have to identify the relationship, which should be possible to convince the stakeholders that there is a relationship. முதல்ல நம்மளை கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ணணும், நம்ம ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டை கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ணணும், ஸ்டேக்ஹோல்டர்ஸை கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ணணும். If that program outcomes are convinced, then the course outcomes, of course program specific outcome comes in between. The course outcome ஒவ்வொன்றும் எப்படி இதோட கனெக்ட் ஆகுதுங்கிறதுக்கு there is a strong correlation between. ஒரு கோர்ஸ் அவுட்கம் வந்து எல்லா ப்ரோக்ராம் ஸ்பெசிபிக் அவுட்கமையும் ப்ரோக்ராம் அவுட்கமையும் கவர் பண்ணணுங்கிற அவசியம் கிடையாது. ஒன்னொன்னத்தை பண்ணலாம். ஸோ இது எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து becomes intended learning outcome. That is the statement specifying what the student should know and be able to do at the end of each class that is being assessed through different tools, everything. So learning activity ingiradhu vandu the process neenga eppadi follow pandringangiradu teaching and learning method which the teachers use to achieve each ILO. And student activities includes presentations, group discussions, mini project. இதனால NAAC now asks what percentage of your course or even programs have experiential learning அப்படிங்கிறது. இதெல்லாம் ஒரு 10 வருஷம் 20 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னால it was never thought of. நம்ம பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இன்டர்னல் டெஸ்ட் வைப்போம், அசைன்மெண்ட்ஸ் கொடுப்போம், மார்க் பேஸ்ட் ஆன் தேர் அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் வி கிவ் இன்டர்னல் மார்க். அதே ஃபார்மேட் இந்த பக்கம் எடுத்துட்டு வந்தீங்கன்னா பார்ட் ஏ, பார்ட் பி, பார்ட் சி. இப்போ 75 மார்க் எழுதினா ரெண்டையும் கம்பைன் பண்ணா முடிஞ்சிருச்சு. பட் நவ் தி லேர்னிங் ஆக்டிவிட்டி இஸ் பியாண்ட் டேக்கிங் அப் எக்ஸாம்ஸ். இட் கேன் இன்க்ளூட் பிரசன்டேஷன்ஸ் ஆஃப் கேஸ் ஸ்டடீஸ். அசைன்மெண்ட்ஸையே நீங்க கேஸ் ஸ்டடியா மாத்தலாம். And you can give room for group discussion for students so that they get prepared as how they can be in a group discussion, in placement interviews. Small projects can be given so that Madras University professors on the Madri what is taught in the class can be replicated, or rather they can take the examples from the real life situation. So இதெல்லாம் உள்ள சேர்ந்து வரும்போது தான் graduate attribute 1, 2, 3 இதெல்லாம் சேர்ந்து வரும். In the colors in blue actually highly correlated. Correlation is just medium and there is a low correlation. அது நாம தான் டிசைட் பண்றோம். Based on our experience, based on how these programs are decided, these outcomes getting connected or correlated higher, medium, lower அப்படிங்கிறது அந்த கலர்ஸ்ல சொல்லியிருக்கு. So this is how I think it's much more holistic in nature. எதுவுமே வாட்டர் டைட் கம்பார்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ்ல இல்லாம they are getting integrated. The end result is obviously what you really intend to do in terms of what you have already specified. So the learning outcome assessment in the form of standardized exams. The learning objective, learning outcome எப்பவுமே கொஞ்சம் ஒரு ஒரு கன்ஃபியூஷன் இருக்கு. லேர்னிங் அவுட்கம்ங்கிறத வந்து we see from the students perspective. Learning objective is actually seen from the teacher's perspective. இவ்வளவு புரிஞ்சா நமக்கு போதும். நான் சொல்லி கொடுக்கறது இதுக்காக, இதை சொல்லி கொடுத்தா என்ன வரும் அப்படிங்கிறது லேர்னிங் அவுட்கம். தட்ஸ் ஆல். தட்ஸ் ஹவ் இட் இஸ் டு பி அண்டர்ஸ்டுட். என்னன்னா இந்த ஓபிஐக்கு முன்னால நம்ம வந்து கோர்ஸ் அப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் கொடுத்துட்டு கோர்ஸ் அவுட்கம் அப்படின்னு கொஞ்சம் ஸ்பெல் அவுட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். Though we have not gone very deep into the syllabus in terms of framing OBEs and everything as program specific and program outcome, இது ஏற்கனவே நம்ம சொன்னதுதான். But now for teachers understanding, I am telling you, outcome is actually seen from the perspective of a student, and objective is seen from the perspective of a teacher as why it is taught. So I think it's a repetition again. Learning outcome are often start with a version, right? Students will describe what a teacher needs to teach and what needs to be planned to teach. Student will understand the concept of X and Y in the respective domain. Learning outcome எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா describe what students demonstrate upon the completion of the course, will be able to choose whether இங்க வந்து முதல்ல அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்கணும் எக்ஸும் ஒய்யும். இப்போ இது கொடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா அவுட்கம் வரும்போது the students are now trained to choose whether I have to choose X or Y with a given specification. இதுதான் the outcome அப்படிங்கிறது. So this is where the OBE stops. Actually, OBE doesn't stop here. We have to move further. If you have a proper understanding of outcome-based education in terms of all these objectives and outcomes, then you have to prepare your syllabi in line with that. இதெல்லாம் முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் ஒரு ஸ்டேஜ் ஆஃப் இம்ப்ளிமெண்டேஷன் நடக்கணும். அதாவது கம்ஃபர்டபுளா நான் வந்து outcome-based education in terms of all the objectives and outcomes define பண்ணி ப்ராப்பரா ப்ராசஸை வந்து ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணி நான் டிரான்சாக்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன் அப்படின்னு நாமே நம்மளை சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை பண்ணிக்க முடிஞ்சா அடுத்த ஸ்டேஜ்ல நம்ம மேப் பண்ணுவோம். மேப்பிங் தான் நான் ஏற்கனவே சொன்ன மாதிரி டேக்கிங் அ ஃபாலோ அப் ஆக்ஷன், a review to see whether the intended outcomes are achieved. And the mapping is yet another big area. As I already said that for a fresh learner, they can just go up to this, have a thorough understanding and then start implementing. Idu oru at least the comfort that you have gained in implementing all these things, once you are able to reach, then you can think of going for mapping. Ippa Bharathiar University has given a scope for implementing OBE. Now my request to the teachers of the affiliated college is to have at least உங்களோட internal assessment partல mapping நீங்க start designing the mapping எப்படி பண்றதுங்கிறது. Maybe my other co-speakers will take up that mapping of all COs and POs in the days to come. And before I could conclude, since I don't get any feedback here, I'm unable to judge the level with which my participants, my fellow teachers are able to understand me. But nevertheless, I will just conclude with a small anecdote. இது anecdote எதுக்கு நான் சொல்றேன் அப்படின்னா, OBE வரும்போதும் சரி இப்பவும் கூட நம்ம எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஒரு ஹிக்கப் இருக்கு, ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு நெருடல் இருக்கு. இது நம்மால முடியுமா, இதை கன்வின்சிங்கா எடுத்துட்டு போக முடியுமா அப்படின்னு. But I am telling you, colleges in Tamil Nadu, especially colleges in Coimbaote, we have edge over others. Especially NAAC வரும்போது மற்ற ஸ்டேட்ல எல்லாம் இன்னும் ஸ்பெல் அவுட்டே பண்ணல. Leave alone the engineering colleges. I am only talking about the arts and science colleges. The rest of the states across the country has not even thought of, or rather இன்னும் OBE மட்டும் பேசிட்டு இருக்காங்க. Whether it has been transacted among students என்னன்னா நெட்ல சும்மா எதையோ ஒன்று போட்டுறாங்க டவுன்லோட் பண்ணி. பட் இவ்வளவு லெட்டர் அண்ட் ஸ்பிரிட்ல இவ்வளவு தூரம் இது இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னு என்னன்னா, தமிழ்நாடு definitely has an edge over others. Of course, if Karnataka is falling in line, அப்ப நமக்கு என்னன்னா ஒரு அட்வான்டேஜ், கொஞ்சம் நிறுத்தி நிதானமா நல்லா பண்ணலாம். அந்த நம்பிக்கை இருந்தால் I hope everybody will take part in this venture so that in or a few years we can have a kind of a blueprint which can be what emulated as a success story by others. அது வர்றதுக்கு முன்னால the anecdote that I really wanted to talk here is, ஒரு நீங்க படிச்சிருப்பீங்களா என்னன்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது. It's a story of a shoelace. ஒரு elderly couple, husband and wife, they have the habit of going for a walk every day in the morning. அது வந்து ஒன்று டு கீப் themselves healthy, அப்புறம் ஒரு ஃப்ரெஷ் ஏர் எடுக்கணும். அண்ட் தட்ஸ் அ டைம் வேர் யூ கேன் ஹேவ் ஸ்மால் டிஸ்கஷன்ஸ். அதை தவிர வீட்டில் உட்காந்து பேசிட்டு இருந்தால் நிறைய சண்டை தான் வரும். ரோடு சண்டை போட முடியாது, அதனால வாக்கிங் போவாங்க, தினமும் வாக்கிங் போவாங்க. ஜென்டில்மேன் ஒரு புது ஷூஸ் வாங்குறார். அந்த ஷூஸ் வந்து இஸ் ஸோ நைஸ். அதை போட்டுட்டு போகும்போதே வந்து அவருக்கு அப்படி ஒரு சந்தோஷம். இந்த ஷூஸ் எத்தனை பேர் பார்ப்பாங்க? நான் அது போட்டுட்டு இருக்கிறது எவ்வளவு நல்லா இருக்கு, அடிடாஸ் ஷூஸ் எவ்வளவு பேர், அது ஒரு பெருமை தானே. அன்னைக்கு என்ன ஆச்சுன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் அதை வேர் பண்ணிட்டு போறாரு. ஒரு 10 அடி எடுத்த உடனே ஷூலேஸ் கண்டுது. He start tying the knot to put the knot in the place. இன்னும் ஒரு 10 அடி திருப்பியும் நாட் கண்டுது. நம்ம 2 தடவை கூட கூட வந்தாங்க, 3-4 தடவை வரவுடனே எங்களுக்கு போர் அடிச்சிருச்சு. நீ எப்பவோ ஷூஸ் கட்டிட்டு மெதுவா எங்கூட வா, நான் நடக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு இவங்க நடக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. பட் திஸ் ஜென்டில்மேன் couldn't solve the problem. Every 10 feet he had to sit down and then tie the knot. Then this lady started, மனசுக்குள்ள நிறைய கற்பனைகள் ஓடுது. என்னப்பா இது, இந்த பேரண்ட்ஸ் இவர் ஸ்கூல்ல படிக்கும் போது ஒழுங்கா ஷூ டை பண்றத கூட சொல்லி கொடுக்கலையா? இவர் தான் ஆச்சு இத்தனை காலம் வரைக்கும் ஒரு ஷூவை வந்து தப்பு இல்லாம நாட் போடுறதுக்கு இவருக்கு கத்துக்க முடியும். இப்படி எல்லாம் திட்டிகிட்டே போறாங்க. திஸ் ஜென்டில்மேன் ஆக்சுவலி காட் சோ ஃபியூரியஸ். இவ்வளவு காசு கொடுத்து ஷூஸ் வாங்கியிருக்கிறோம், இந்த அடிடாஸ் கார் கம்பெனிக்கு நல்ல ஷூலேஸ் போட தெரியாதா? Can he fix a proper shoelace so that the knot will not get untied? இப்படி அவர் கம்பெனியை திட்டிட்டு போறாரு, இந்த அம்மா பேரண்ட்ஸை திட்டிட்டு போறாங்க. 2 பேரும் வீட்டுக்கு வந்துடுறாங்க. Then this gentleman started எப்படி ஷூலேஸ் கட்டுறது தப்பாகும். நமக்கு தான் இருக்கே கூகுள் சர்ச் என்ஜின்ல போய் எடுத்து பாக்குறாரு, இந்த ஷூலேஸ் கட்டுறதுல என்ன தப்பு பண்ணியிருக்கேன். ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன தப்பு தான். என்னன்னா, ஷூலேஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நாட் எல்லாரும் அதை தான் போடணும், செகண்ட் நாட் மேல இருந்து எடுக்கணும், கீழே இருந்து எடுத்தா கழுந்துடும். அவ்வளவுதான். தட் இஸ் a lesson he learned. பட் அவருக்கு அந்த லெசன் அப்படின்னா, நமக்கு இவங்களோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்ல இருந்து என்னென்ன லெசன் அப்படின்னா, just because we've been doing something for years, that doesn't mean that we've been doing everything right. காலங்காலமா ஒண்ணு நம்ம செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கிற ஒரே காரணத்துக்காக நம்ம செய்யறதெல்லாம் ரைட் அப்படிங்கிறது இல்லை. There may be a better way. You only need to be willing to learn that better way to make it a better one. So willingness to learn. Don't be more complacent about what being doing. Have a willingness to learn. When things go wrong, the temptation is so strong to blame others. இதுதான் நம்மளோட attitude. இதை ஒண்ணு கொடுத்துட்டாங்கப்பா, NAAC கேட்டுட்டாங்க, UGC கேக்குது, இதுக்காக நம்ம செய்யணும். இல்லை, the situation has not gone wrong. I'm promising you, because Tamil Nadu has always an edge over others. We still have time to correct ourselves. So let us not play any blame game. Let us take responsibility and ownership for it. It takes courage to introspect and find fault within. நம்ம ஒண்ணு சொல்லிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா அதுதான் இட்டர்னல் அப்படிங்கிறது கிடையாது. நாம இன்ட்ரோஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணி நாம தான் பார்க்கணும். பார்த்துட்டு இது கரெக்டா போட்டிருக்கனா இல்லையா சரி பண்ணுவோம். வாட் இஸ் ராங்? சரியா தப்ப சரி பண்றதுதான் கரெக்டா ஒழிய தப்புங்கிறது தப்பாவே கொண்டு போறதுதான் சரியில்லை. So there is a possibility to correct it once you start introspecting. Change is hard. Doing things differently is harder than it seems. I accept. OB is doing things different. It is definitely harder because it's not like the usual practice of teaching learning. It needs extra time. It needs extra effort. Change take effort, time, and more than effort and time, it takes commitment from our side. அது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப முக்கியம். But small changes, understand and please relish. Small changes can make very big impact. As the change kicks in, please friends, get ready for a greater and greater appreciation. So this is the lesson that one need to understand in implementing OBE. I'm just quoting it with an example of an anecdote, basically because நான் சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் நான் சொன்ன விஷயங்கள்ல எது நிக்குதோ அட்லீஸ்ட் கதையாவது நிக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறதுனால. And I take this opportunity to thank one and all for all your patient listening. Hope I have not taken much time, and I think I could conclude on the time that is prescribed to me. Thank you very much. I can wait for the feedback that you people are ready to give. Hello.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a general comment query.
Yes, sir.
Since we are all affiliated to Bharathiar University,
Okay.
the objectives, everything is fixed by the Bharathiar University. That we have to follow, right, madam?
Sir, for an affiliated college, the
Yes.
OBE model is already finalized by the Bharathiar University, but Bharathiar University, they don't do. Only our teaching community, by virtue of the membership in the Board of Studies, they are getting fixed. But I don't think even the first iteration will become the perfect model for all of us to follow. Once you start implementing, there may be some there is scope for either improving or changing, but that can be done always.
And
but some of the autonomous colleges are way ahead of implementing OBE. They've gone to the level of mapping and the attainments, and everything is being assessed. Based on the assessment, they've started revising or even the outcomes. The credit should be always given to the autonomous colleges who are pioneer in implementing OBE.
Okay. So all the audience queries are in the chat box, madam. If any queries which is specific, I will pass on to you, madam. Otherwise, we will conclude, madam. We'll conclude.
Yeah, I'm ready to take the feedback also, and I just expect the institution to pass it on to me as what the feedback that the audience have given.
Yes,
it's very unfortunate for a teacher that without a reciprocation from the audience to conclude, basically because I do not know whether I could satisfy anyone, at least one or two, if they could give a feedback that this is the area, or if you don't have a scope for integrating that feedback, okay, it's fine.
No, we'll integrate, we'll consolidate all the feedbacks in the chat box, and for currently we have any queries, I will ask them to interact. Just one second.
Please.
Bala, IQAC coordinator, you can ask few questions from the chat box.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Ma'am, there is a question dropped by Johi Chaturvedi. This is her question. Generic and higher order competencies are same or different?
Actually, we have to, this has been designed based on the Bloom's taxonomy, right? I think it goes up to 6 levels, and first 3 are lower order, and the 4 and 5 are higher order, and the final one is for creating, right? It's we leave alone synthesis. We are now to create something. The generic higher order, lower order அப்படிங்கிறதெல்லாம் சும்மா பேச்சுக்கு போட்டுக்கிறது தான். But there is a pyramid like thing. One has to follow the other. அவ்வளவுதான். You can't jump from first to fourth. Now Bloom's taxonomy நீங்க எடுத்து அதை ரெஃபர் பண்ணீங்கன்னா அந்த ஆர்டர்ஸ் it's very very well placed.
Yes.
நார்மலா என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா undergraduate level we can think that lower order skills of the first 3 can be incorporated. For higher education, I mean PG, it is for the second 4 and 5, and the last for research, but they are not put in watertight compartments. It varies from subject to subject, especially with the growing intensity of this AI and all other things. நான் இப்ப வந்து இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 3 தான் வேணும் அப்படின்னு ஒரு சப்ஜெக்ட் சொல்லவே முடியாது. மேபி ஈவன் கிரியேஷன், ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஒரு பேப்பரா வந்தேன்னா கிரியேஷன் வரைக்கும் போனாதான் that paper has the real impact that it really intends to do. It varies from subject to subject.
Yeah, you can ask the next question, Yagan.
Yes, sir. So this is from Indumati. Is it possible to change the vision and mission of the department to change when we are going for next accreditation?
There's nothing wrong. See, நாம வந்து முதல்ல ஒரு opportunity கொடுக்கும்போது we were not taught even to say what is vision and what is mission. உண்மையிலுமே when I see the vision and mission documents of நிறைய large number of institutions எல்லாம் டவுன்லோட் பண்ணி அதுல இருந்து கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா எடுத்து போட்டதுதான். இப்பதான் OBE வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் we are now getting ready to have a new phrases which really intend to achieve. முதல்ல விஷனையும் போட்டுருவோம், அவ்வளவுதான். ஃபிளெக்ஸ் போர்டில் அடிச்சு அங்கங்க மாற்றதோட மிஷனுக்கு வேலை முடிஞ்சிருச்சு. இப்ப அதை வந்து நீங்க டிபார்ட்மெண்டோட இன்டகிரேட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா நேச்சுரலா டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் முதல்ல அப்படி நினைச்சே பார்த்திருக்காது. இப்ப now we are thinking, so it's quite natural. You can always change it. There's nothing wrong. Only thing is, having changed it, it should be possible for you to justify why you have made that change. Alada. There is always scope, freedom, and room for improvement. And the improvement, if it has to come through change, that should always happen. Nothing should prevent you from doing it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Manjula Suresh, Dean Languages and Head of the Department for English, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear audience. Looking forward to get integrated, connected sometime later. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. We are extremely proud to have Dr. B.Vanitha, former Registrar in charge, Bharathiar University, as the resource person on day 1 of the 7 days faculty development program. She has spoken on a vital topic, which is the need of the hour, that is outcome-based education. As we all know, we are going through difficult days with the dangerous pandemic, COVID-19 looming in the background. Online technology has come to the forefront in the educational scenario. Thus, outcome-based education has become closely interlinked with online technology. Madam, you have highlighted the salient features of this topic in an admirable manner. You have rightly pointed out that the task before us is to prepare the students for employment. Along with academic knowledge, students have to acquire skills, that is, learning to know, learning to do, and learning to live together with values and right attitudes. You have rightly pointed out that the teachers have to think out of the box and that syllabus is not to be covered by the teacher, but the teacher has to uncover the syllabus. You have defined the 5 Ds and the differences between traditional method of teaching and out-based education system. The role of the teacher is to motivate the students. The departments also should have mission and vision, which is in line with the institution's mission and vision. You have highlighted the importance of induction programs and bridge courses, and also to include case studies, group discussion, and small projects in the teaching learning process. You have concluded with a humorous anecdote with the valuable message that whenever things wrong, we have a tendency to blame others. Thank you, madam, for delivering a session which is rich in content.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, madam. Words fail to express our gratitude to our principal, Dr. B. Subramani, who is the brain behind the rapid progress in the online scenario that dominates the campus nowadays. The campus vibrates with webinars and online classes throughout the day. Thank you, sir. In absentia, welcome, sir. In absentia, we thank our management members, especially President and Secretary, who support us strongly. Gratitude is extended to the IQAC coordinator and head of the Department of Mathematics, Mrs. S. County, for putting in efforts to organize the 7 days faculty development program. We thank the director of SNMV Institute of Management, heads of all the departments, the battalion of faculty members, and the technical team for their smart work. We thank all the participants of this faculty development program, not only from Tamil Nadu and India, but all over the world, who have come from various institutions. Their presence make the program lively and fruitful. We thank the administrative and non-teaching staff members for their hard work. We thank the CWA manager and the team of staff for their guidance. Above all, let us thank God Almighty for his blessings always and in all ways. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your excellent, lots of points on the OBE. Thank you so much. Madam, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I will talk.
Okay, you can talk to me over phone.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is an announcement for the participants. Participants, kindly fill the feedback form, which is already dropped in the comment box. Once again, participants, kindly fill the feedback form. It's already dropped in the comment box. And kindly subscribe our SNMB CAS Coimbaote YouTube channel for further information about FDP. Once again, participants, kindly subscribe SNMB CAS Coimbaote YouTube channel for the further information about FDP. Once again, kindly fill the feedback form. The link already dropped in the comment box. Thank you all.